Welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club line. So the riders up and away. We're just riding with Jackie Giuliano at the moment across Luz Carmona. Our riders are pushing out from the start. So a 5K sector coming up. This will give us a really good indication of how people are riding. So riding in with Gemma Brogan, Catherine Fura and Faye Faber in the lead left of your screen. These three riders with a gap to the chasers behind Lisa Brommel and Jenny Sanchez. Now Sanchez, Brommel and Faber are the riders, and it looks to me like Faber has popped. Sanchez and Brommel have gone past. This is for the win. Here, qualification round number 3. They're going to be the fastest two riders in to the finish, but who is going to take this? Brogan is closing on the heels of Fura. They're coming back together again, 300 metres to go. Is Brogan going to go straight over the top? She takes a little bit of a breather there, and now Brogan goes on the front, but Fura answers her again. It levels off. We've got 200 metres to go. There's nothing to choose between these two riders. Brogan comes up on the shoulder of Fura. So it's Fura with the white helmet, Brogan with the yellow helmet and the yellow bike. The finish line is in sight, and Brogan opens up first. 11 watts per kilo, nearly 12 watts per kilo. But Fura's got 14 in the tank. She's got nitrox in it. Here she goes. It is a win for Catherine Fura. Assalamu alaikum, hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's the prize money race, the final after 3 qualification rounds. My name's Matt Payne, and I'm going to be putting words to all of the race action, and we've just seen some amazing racing in qualification number 3 with Catherine Fura taking the win, and got to say, an amazing sprint between her and Brogan. Catherine and Gemma battling it out. Will they be at the top? Because we see the return of the winner of qualification round number 1 and number 2, which were both mountaintop finishes in the shape of Elizabeth Van Heuling. However, we also have the team competition up for grabs. This is going to be a real battle out on the course, out and around the roads of MyWhoosh here today, with riders in categories 1, 2 and 3, as well as our teams. Now, the course, 35 kilometres long, 704 metres of elevation from start to finish, with our first segment coming in after 2K. The first 2 segments in that first 6K, very hilly, very bumpy indeed. We go over the dunes, no let up in the pressure. Then we go into the slightly flatter section before that final climb up, running from 27.9 right the way up to 35 kilometres, and the mountaintop finish will separate them out. When we were here at qualification round number 1, we saw a massive battle on those final slopes. So expect to see a selection made early, reinforced during the second part. The third part will be about seeing how big a gap they can get then into the final part of this race. The big money finals here, the prize money final for this month here on MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. We are going to see who's going to be up there now. Category 1 strong girls are a very strong team indeed, with Brommel, Schroeder, Faber, Adeline and Mashandi, and watch out for Lydia Adeline here. Last time round, she was in second position up to the final few kilometres, ended up in 5th place. Spartan Obstacles, who do you pick? Such a strong team. Brogan, who we saw taking second place last week. You've got Cafedo, 3rd on this hill last time round. Hua, who came up here taking a 6th last time, but taking 3rd place last time. Out and Van Heuling, of course, multiple-time winner. Las Colombias looking very strong. They've got Gonzalez Rua as well as Girardo. They were 2nd and 7th on this hill last time. But don't discount the CM team, because, of course, there's Stefania Sanchez and Jenny Sanchez, who are on that team. Both strong riders. Stefania Sanchez taking 4th place on this hill last time we were here. Our first category riders, absolutely jam-packed full of talent. Our second category riders, no less talented. In the second category, we have the strong women's team, Dallimore and Julie Sanchez. Representing them, Julie Sanchez was the first category 2 rider in our current category, so we transfer the riders into the correct category this time around. Sanchez was first up there. Second place was Kekkonen. Third place was Cordera, and that means that strong women had the first rider up there. Fifth place was Dallimore. Team Italy have got riders in the shape of Coloni and Wilhelm. And remember, 7th and 8th places last time around, really strong. Team RT working well, along with the Fitness 10 team and the Slam Bike team Sharp. We're going to see whether they are going to be able to mix it in with them. Really interested to see who will take away the second category prizes. Our third category prizes. Don't forget, of course, we have in here Team 2, the Powerpuff Girls and the Climber Girls. Remember, Jackie Giuliano for the Climber Girls, she would have been the first place rider competing today in this category. Last time we were on this hill, qualification number 1. Don't discount Nicole Illustri for Team 2 as well. We're going to see who is going to be in that mix in those varying categories as we move on from here into, of course, what is going to be a really interesting final. We are right into the final seconds of countdown here. We're in with Santiago at the moment. Goes the lights, and this is the time to kick out from the start. Now, key here is to hit the line running. So the moment that the tape goes a bit like the start of Grand Prix, you want that engine revved right up. So you literally have to just kick straight out from the start line. And it's about getting a fast start. Remember, our category 1 riders in yellow, category 2 in green, category 3 in the blue colour. All of our riders straight out from the start and straight up this brutal climb. This is an absolute killer. And Mandana, they're pushing hard, trying to chase Kekkonen, but it's Kekkonen on the front. This is a rider who we know is really strong. But Mandana Nashandi are working to try and close down. These two have been right next to each other all the way through the racing at the moment, though. It looks like Nashandi are struggling with the pace here at the front, kicking out nearly 7 watts per kilo. She's closing down, but at the front of the race, look at this. Last week's sprint winner in here. So Catherine Hua working very strong, trying to keep that gap down, not letting anybody go at this stage. Meanwhile, Quevedo quickly in to the wheels as well. Quevedo third on the mountain last time on here on qualification 1. It really is jam-packed full with talent. Jojo Bauer working hard here. Bauer riding for Las Colombianas, a rider who took a great 7th place in qualification number 2. She was running number 3 as well. Another 7th place in that. So it gives you an indication she's a top 10 rider comfortably. But watch out for early attacks here, just trying to split these groups apart. On the right-hand side of your screen, it's Fiona Schroeder. Schroeder working to try and keep the gaps down to a minimum as they come screaming around this corner. Schroeder on the top of the climb, currently in 30th place. And I think Fiona Schroeder is going to have some work to do now. She's got to close down that gap. Fiona riding for the strong girls team. Well, today is the day to be strong. It's the day to harness that power and to really accelerate up. She's got a bit of a catch to do. And I think that was a issues on the start line there for Fiona Schroeder. So time to dig in, Fiona. Now's the time to keep that power down. Don't let the gaps go. Get into some wheels quickly here, because that's going to make a difference. The next group up the road from Fiona are about 12 seconds up the road, 15 seconds up the road. She has got riders behind, but they could well assist. It looks like Tandigan closing in on her heels at the moment, and that's due to that down slope. So at the moment, Fiona Schroeder from the Strong Girls team will want to move up these teams and need to finish 3 riders right up front. We're going to see who is going to finish right up there. Meanwhile, left-hand side of your screen, you can just see Lisa Brummel on the front at the moment. Lisa Brummel riding for the Strong Girls, teammate of Schroeder, who we've just seen, will want those reinforcements. Remember, Strong Girls team is incredibly strong. They don't got that name for nothing. You've got Brummel, Schroeder, Faber, Adlin, as well as Degan Mashandi. That is going to be a tough team to beat, but the Spartan Obstacles have shown they're strong. We also have Golden Light in here on the left-hand side. Now, Golden Light, one of the riders who running as an individual, not in a team in category 1. Hard to do, but not impossible. And Golden Light got a remember, has taken second place in qualification number 2, a 6th place in qualification number 3, and is showing just how strong she is. Absolutely flying here. The UAE rider working very well at the moment. Will she be able to stay with that lead pack as we hit that climb? We didn't see her in action on qualification number 1. That's going to make a difference now. The riders on the left of your screen are motoring through the first of those segments, about halfway through. The second set of riders you see on your screen just on the way into that segment, just going over the start line. And this will give us an indication of just how fast these riders are traveling and what the gaps are between them. So you can just see Golden Light in that front group at 69, 67 revs per minute. That's real low. That's power stuff there. And that kind of revs, very difficult to maintain all the way through. Some of our riders will be riding near the 90 mark, and you can compare the two here brilliantly. Left-hand side is Golden Light. Right-hand side is Fiona Schroeder. Now, the two riders, you've got 70 revs with one. You've got 90 revs with the others. But it is the lower revving Golden Light, but with a big old heart rate at 166 goes in through. Who's going to take the time through, though? Well, look at that. It is a qualification round number 1 and 2 winner, Elizabeth Van Heuling, leading them through. And followed by the Las Colombianas, Bauer, Gonzalez, Ray behind as well. So the rest of that field packed out with Spartan obstacles and strong girls or riders. The interlopers in there are Dallimore, Sanchez, and Reynard. They are category 2 riders who have pushed away right up into the mix. So really interesting to see. That's Karuk Quevedo, Rebecca Dallimore, and Elodie Reynard are all working strongly. Reynard 6th on this climb last time round in category 2. But will she be able to? Don't forget, this is just the split time on segment number 1. On next segment number 2 comes in, and that kicks in at 4 right the way through to 5k. So riding in with Elizabeth Van Heuling, our twice winner, making her way down between sector number 1 that you can see on your screen and sector number 2. So currently between that 3 and 4k marker at 3.7. So just about to make her way into that segment. So our race riders are moving quickly here, and you can see lead number 1, the leaders going in at the moment. A big pack of riders. I think that's going to be about 12 riders strong, that leading pack at the moment, going through underneath. In there, we can see the green jerseys of the category 2 riders who are up in the mix. And at the moment, you can see people have set their stalls out very, very quickly indeed as they make the way down this straight into the segment here. We've gone round the U-turn at the end of the road. They're going to come in the opposite direction, in fact, to this group. Jenny Tan running on the right of your screen, Lisa Bromwell on the left of your screen, either side of this fantastic boulevard down the avenue of trees, and actually just going to pass almost next to each other on the opposite sides of the green section through the middle, and looks like coming in to the sector is Jenny Tan's group, a real pack group full of category 2 riders in that group. Meanwhile, coming out, Lisa Bromwell's leading riders out the other side. They're at 4.5k, so halfway through the sector already into the 5k mark before that sector is over. This run down around the U-turn and then coming back in and through, absolutely critical, and that's where the riders really need to make sure that they keep the pace nice and high. So Bromwell and De Garcia on your screens at the moment. Remember, those numbers go green, top left-hand side of the screen for Bromwell when she's in the draft at the moment, though, moving up on to the front and pushing hard here at 3.5 watts per kilo, gets reabsorbed into that budge. And this group rolling around between 3.5 and 4 watts per kilo at the moment. So through checkpoint number 2. And let's have a little look at these riders. Let's see who is sort of working hard. Interesting to see a real shuffling of that pack this time round. And looks like Bromwell, Van Heuling still sitting in around the top. Golden Light sitting in there. Quevedo and Bauer as well, making sure they're not too far down. Catherine Fua further down in 12th place at the moment. But taking a little look at heart rates rather than the absolute speed, look at Radar. She's working hard, 174 beats per minute as she went through that section. That was her heart rate on average through a kilometre of riding, 1 minute 34. It's been up at 174 high, 140 Brogan at the moment. Just sitting down there on takeover by the look of it, and that is conserving energy. It's not pushing out too much. If you look at the watts per kilo, good indication of who's working smoothly as well. So if you look at Julie Sanchez, she's at 3 watts per kilo. She's not having to push too hard to stay with them at the moment. But this, remember, a relatively flat section of the course with some kickers early on. But the riders are about to come into their last 200 meters or so before they start to kick through into the 6K mark. So the next segment coming at 6.3K, so about 500 meters to go. So Elodie Orena at the moment just leading this group through, coming up to the 6K marker. There's 700 meters of road between them and the group on the right-hand side of your screen. That's Gina De Garcia along with Jesper Nicola Estre, and looks like Jenny Tan in that pack as well. So not too far behind at this stage. We're already, remember, 6K in 10 minutes of racing, nearly covered at this point in time. Our leaders quickly covering the distance, so they're going to hit the next segment. That's 6.3K, so rolling into number 3. This segment number 3, 2.5 kilometers long, so a longer segment, and going to give us a real good indication of how they're riding. We're into the desert, so we've got big dunes, we've got roller coaster riding. It really is up, down, rolling over the top, keeping the pressure on, keeping the power on. The numbers at the top right-hand side in the map box, in the grey little box there, you can see them ticking away. Those are the gradients that the riders are on at the moment. 0.4%, going to 0.7 with Julie Sanchez, but out to the left of your screen, you can see this hill is about to kick in, and it's going to bite in. The turbo trainers that the riders are riding on, or the smart bikes that they're riding, will close down on the wheels. They'll take away that power. The spit like throwing the anchor out the back of a boat. It really is a brutal feeling. All the riders having to ride at a minimum of 50% of power. And remember, of course, all the riders having to submit double amounts of power in to make sure that everybody is verified as kicking out the correct power. Because, of course, like anything mechanical, we do know that we get problems with one unit or another. Having two means that we can keep checking. Of course, the AI back at MyWhoosh, checking all of our riders, the verification, very, very thorough indeed. Now, left-hand side, the leaders on to the climb, 7% as they go up onto the steepest section. Jojo Bauer working very well at the front. Going into the segment goes Gina De Garcia, Maria Santiago, along with Sylvia Coloni. Going in on the right-hand side, left-hand side, Bauer continuing to push us on the heels of Brommel as they go in and through. Van Heuling working well, but you can just see carrying the momentum down and up the climb makes a big difference. Dallimore right in the mix here. So Rebecca Dallimore riding for the Strong Women's team in Category 2, right up in the mix here. But you've got to get that pace right. And Faye Faber, a rider who had a phenomenally strong ride, riding back through the field in qualification number 2, has got herself up into the lead group. It's exactly where we would expect to see her. She was so powerful on race 2, just fading towards the top of the climb. Qualification race number 3, she was right in that mix as well. Will she be the rider to take them up to the top of the summit while she's in some exalted company here? Because we have the winner. This is Catherine Fua, who comes through. She's the rider who took win in race at number 3 in the qualification. Broken in that sprint with her, but it's not likely to be a sprint finish at the top of this climb. And it's got to be said, the Las Colombianas, as well as the Spartan team, really trying to work over the Strong Girl squad. The Strong Girl squad with 5 Category 1 riders racing. But remember, Fiona Schroeder had been distanced early on, and that had reduced their numbers. Las Colombianas with 3 riders, CM team with 2, Spartan Obstacles with 4. Now, a little bit further back, you can just start to see the gaps opening up in what was a very compact chasing group of Category 2 riders are fractured across the road. The leaders in Category 1 are doing the same. They're starting to distance riders behind. And I think when we go through the finish of the next segment, we're going to see a different makeup with a very much reduced number. So the racing pattern set in the early part of the course in the first 6 kilometers, now into the dunes for a further 3K. And the chases are working well at the moment, but they are much more fractured. They're not going to be getting as much benefit of the draft as they go in and through. Meanwhile, the leading pack are still holding well together. So through the checkpoint they go. Let's have a look at those numbers. They're going to be big as they come in. Here we go. So you can see going through there. Brogan went through, but Sanchez and Dallimore losing contact with the group there. It took them 6 seconds slower to get through there. And it means that our leading group are 8 riders strong. 2 chases with Sanchez and Dallimore, then Reynard and Golden Light further back in addition. And again, those two taking a further 18 seconds to come through that sector, through that same 2.5 kilometers. So you can see at the moment that group has already been decimated, and we are reduced down as they came in and through, and we had 9 riders at max. I think it's going to be 8 riders in that leading group now. Sanchez, Dallimore, Reynard and Light, I think now distant. So let's have a little look at this leading group of riders. Dallimore is the nearest chaser behind. So it looks to me like if we take that check back in and through, Dallimore, the nearest chaser behind this group. She's at 11 seconds. So Dallimore trying to chase on. She's in 9th place, 8 leaders. 10 seconds up the road from Dallimore. Dallimore then has 2 seconds from Julie Sanchez behind. Following her is Golden Light at 14 seconds. Elodie Reynard at 18 seconds. The leading group of riders of 8 riders left. After the initial kick off from the start, well, we've seen that group really been taken apart by these hills on the way through. Dallimore pushing hard to try and close down on the leaders, but it's a big ask. Once you've got a group in front, that group is able to shelter, able to take turns on the way through. Dallimore sat on her own on the left-hand side of your screen. The riders she's chasing on the right-hand side of your screen. She can see them in front, and she's working well here. Rebecca Dallimore kicking out 4.3 watts per kilo, 4.4. She's got them at 6 seconds. She's got some help now as well. So up comes Julie Sanchez. Now, this is one heck of a chase to get back on here. They're working hard to get this gap closed down. Dallimore and Sanchez, if they work together and they don't mess about, they could get them back again. They were distance on the hilly section through the dunes. They're coming. They can see the target in front. That distance is coming down. They've got to work the way back on again before they run out of power. Dallimore burning up a lot of fuel here to get back on, but look at the group in front there across the road, a surefire sign that the pressure is not on. And what they've done, they've allowed Dallimore now to pretty much get back onto the wheels. Sanchez is going to go with her as well. So it is going to be Rebecca Dallimore and Julie Sanchez making the way across. The 2 teammates from the Strong Women's team making the way into that leading group, which swells to 10 riders. Now, Golden Light is going to be kicking herself up in their second in qualification 2, 6th in qualification 3, and unable to just stay with the group on that climb. And it's so frustrating and just so hard when the group goes over the top. And if you're in trouble, you can be right on your limit. They go that little bit too quick. Over the top they go. And it's just sometimes just some people warm up just that little bit faster, but it makes such a difference. Right. Riders in the lead at 11K. They are absolutely flying here. 11.1 will be the end of sector 4. So segment 4, we should see 10 riders coming through. And the fastest riders in, there should be Dallimore and Sanchez, because they were motoring. They are indeed. So Dallimore and Sanchez are 2 fastest riders. They came through that section between 4 and 5 seconds quicker than the group they were chasing, and that shows you why they're in that sector so fast. That's the time they had to make up on the way through, and you can see that time 1:36.330 for Dallimore. Super fast time. Now Golden Light will be losing ground here on that segment. We see her coming in 11th place. Now she was 10 seconds slower than Dallimore and Sanchez, 5 seconds slower than the leading group as they came through and kicking out 182 watts at 2.8 watts per kilo. If you compare that to the 4.1 for Dallimore and the 3.0 for Sanchez, they are working incredibly hard. And you can just see Light and Reynard at the moment. They are giving away substantial chunks. To say that is on segment 4, a segment that is 1 kilometer long. So our riders are quickly in and through that segment. Our next segment comes in at 12.3k, so only another 500 meters or so for our leaders to come in and into segment number 5. In the third of the parts of this course, we've got the first part and climb of 57 meters, then 79 meters. We've got the 143, but it's a long sector, nearly 18k long. Then we go on across to the final climb with all of the big climbing still to come. So our riders heading into segment number 5, they're going to hit that at 12.3k, so another 200 meters. Dallimore, after that chase on quickly onto the front. I think if I'd have been chasing on like Dallimore, I would be sat at the back of that group, maybe second or third wheel at the most, taking advantage of the draft of the shelter. But looks like she's on a bit of a mission today, sat on the front there. I think I'd be easy enough to be like, no, thank you. I was going to see the front. I've been working my socks off to get to you, but looks like she wants to be up there. Maybe just a word that if she drops too far back, she'll be in trouble and be distanced off the back, which is very easy to do, to lose touch with riders. Now, here we go. We are going up on to the bridge. This is where things get difficult. They are into this segment, but this is a steep climb. Let's see what happens to Dallimore and Sanchez now. They were pushing really hard to go on, and Faber goes on the attack here. She's kicked down hard, and you can just see she's wanting to hand it. She wants to break this group down. Gonzalez goes up to 6 watts per kilo, chasing Dallimore. Has to keep the pressure on. She's keeping it very quick in the revs, 95 revs per minute for Dallimore. Sanchez teammate comes up with her, but you can see at the front of this race, the gaps are starting to open up once again. Van Heuling now goes on the front at 6 watts per kilo. Brommel comes through. Faber goes through. And you can just see Farr going up to the front with Bauer and Brogan. But behind, the gaps are opening, and it will open quickly as they go over the top. It drops down, and the moment they go over the top, that leading group are going to start pulling. This is where we have to see what they can do. So we're just riding with Jojo Bauer, who's made that group. Van Heuling is in that group. Brogan at the moment is at 2 seconds, pushing on hard at 1 second behind. She's got to close the gap down on these leaders at the moment. So Bauer in, Brogan behind, Dallimore in trouble at 6 seconds, and Julie Sanchez again. So they were chased back once. Can they chase back again? So Dallimore in this familiar position, having to chase the leading group when the pressure comes on those climbs. The Category 2 riders just having to fight so hard to stay with our Category 1 riders. It shows you the difference. These categories, they are dynamic, they're responsive, they respond to the riders in the race and their abilities in the race. It's not just based on an FTP level, it's not just based on a 5-second sprint level, it's based on past performances. It takes into account a lot of factors, and that is all analysed prior to the start of the race. In the team at MyWhoosh are making sure that the riders all get a cracking race. And Dallimore on a potentially one of the best races that we've seen from her at the moment, chasing really strongly with Julie Sanchez behind her. And look at this, she's carrying so much pace through here, but she's working hard all the time. She has to get that recovery in between. At the moment, we're on this flat section of elevated roadway up over the water and making our way around the side of the building. We're going to drop back down again fairly shortly down onto the coastline. Dallimore, though, I think just now having to hold herself steady. Won't want to burn out too much of that heart rate. 150. Golden Light behind is still chasing, but Dallimore at 150 beats per minute, trying to chase down Faber. Now we come into a segment number 5. This is where we're going to see what those time gaps are as they come through. Our leading group consists of 8 riders once again, with Dallimore and Sanchez distanced. Here they come through now, and that is telling. 6 seconds behind for Dallimore, 8 seconds behind on that segment alone, and that is showing you the difference between being able to stay in the bunch over the climb and staying in them on the way down. as opposed to being lost on the climb and then having to chase hard in pursuit. So Faye Faber, Elizabeth Van Heuling, Catherine Fuhr, along with Gemma Brogan, Jojo Bauer, Karuka Vado, Dorothy Gonzalez-Ray, as well as Lisa Brummel in that leading group of 8. All going through sub 3:20, 3:15, the fastest time. Dallimore and Sanchez, well, they're in the 3-minute 22 and 24 seconds with Golden Light chasing behind. She's going to hit the line now. So currently sitting in what is going to be 9th position in category 1, but 11th place in the race overall at the moment. And currently going through that same sector, 22.977 seconds down. And that is really tough because for someone we thought would be right up, not catching a break and not going with that leading group on the way through has definitely damaged her chances. So our riders lined up in order to go through with Faber, Van Heuling, along with Brogan, Bauer, Cavado, Gonzalez, Arua, and Brummel. 8 riders clear at the front. 2 chasing riders, Dallimore and Sanchez, sat behind, with Golden Light and Elodie Redard in pursuit behind them. So great riding by them. Our riders will continue onwards on the course. They're looking very, very smooth indeed, and definitely going to see if they can put out a storming performance here. Remember, the temperature dropping in the UAE because, of course, it's late at night now. But we are going to take a look at another of the races by MyWhoosh and catch up with the action from the amazing race we had on a Saturday night, and that's the MyWhoosh Ramadan Challenge. So some great action out on the roads, out on the Ramadan Challenge, the MyWhoosh Ramadan Challenge, taking place in the dark hours just to keep the temperature down. Our riders out and racing. Great temperature to race in because you got warm racing, and then could not get too cold overnight when you're in a gap between the races. So it looks like at the moment the riders benefiting from that. It's good to see our UAE pro in there as well. Meanwhile, the leaders continue onwards. They have still got the gap, as you'll see before we went across to see the highlights of the MyWhoosh Ramadan Challenge. Our leading group of riders. And this is a group that is 8 riders strong and jam-packed full of the favourites. However, a number of riders distance behind. Rebecca Dallimore and Julie Sanchez are the 2 riders from the Strong Women's Category 2 team, chased and stayed in with that leading group of Category 1 riders for a long time. But now as we come in to kilometre 17, they are behind, and that gap has opened up on the climbs. It opened up first of all in the climbs in town, then it opened on the climbs out on the outskirts going through the dunes. And of course, all that took its toll. By the time we hit the bridge, that gap had grown, and Dallimore and Sanchez now are looking to take away top spot in the women's category 2 race, as well as looking to see if they can take away team prize as well. Sanchez and Dallimore, both very talented riders, but not able to stay with our category 1 riders who are leading this race out. It's only a couple of 100 meters or so between them, but that is substantial when you are racing in any kind of discipline other than maybe potentially a 24-hour race, and that's just quite simply because of the power and the pace. The gap currently sitting at 9 seconds from this leading group that you can see on your screens, with Faber once again just squeezing on to the front. Catherine Fuhr then starts to move up, eases out. Nobody wanting, I think, to go do too much work on the front. They know that once they come in over the 28K mark, they're going to be going up into the mountains, all the way up to 35K. So a little bit further back in the race behind, you can just see we have got Kekkonen. Now, Kekkonen are one of the real strong riders. One of the riders are expected to figure in the women's category 2 races. And you can just see Kekkonen kicking away up this climb on the chase here of Lydia Adelin. She's going to take a little bit of advantage of being able to close down on the wheel of Adelin. Adelin, the rider who has been very strong in the race at number 1, the qualifier number 1, but look at Kekkonen go up this climb. Very strong rider, and a rider who took what was a 2nd place in qualifier 1 and qualifier 2 and qualifier number 3 in the category 2 racing. At the moment, she has in front of her Elodie Reynard for the Team Fitness 10 team, who is in 3rd place. He's the rider she's chasing. She'll want a podium. And then also in front, of course, we have Rebecca Dallimore and Julie Sanchez. They are the riders who are the top of the category 2 standings. So Dallimore and Sanchez are the 1, 2 in the category 2 rides, with Elodie Reynard in 3rd place in the category 2 racing. Then it's going to be Kekkonen, currently in 4th place in the category 2 racing. And again, Dallimore and Sanchez are continuing their pursuit. They really are working hard to try and close down the leaders. They can see that pack of yellow jerseys in front. Dallimore is on a mission to get this back. She's working really, really hard to get on the heels. Now, it's relatively flat here. It's maybe where it suits it. Maybe that when we got onto the long climb, she's able to put the power down. It's just those very steep kickers that take the toll on Dallimore and Sanchez, and they would want to be right up in the mix. So here, our chaser on the left-hand side of your screen, that is Rebecca Dallimore trying to close down on that leading group. She's going to make contact soon. Right-hand side of your screen, Mandana Dangi Mashandi, the rider who took 11th and 12th places in qualification 3 and 2. A real strong ride getting inside those top of 15 positions. She's looking to continue to push behind her. So Fiona Schroeder, Maria Sanguit, but she's going to want to keep the pressure on here, because we know that Madonna running in the category 1 position is going to want to continue to push. Now, Rebecca Dallimore is into the group. She's going to ease off here. I'd imagine she'll want to try and get a teammate, Julie Sanchez, into this group. So at the moment, Dallimore and Sanchez, the 2 category 2 riders in with the shout, staying with the group 1. The category 1 riders in the leading group in front. Sanchez currently sitting at 6 seconds. It feels so close, doesn't it? You can always feel like you can reach out from that avatar and just try and get them to grab the riders in front. The gap is coming down at the moment. And it's only a couple of telegraph poles. For those of you who are old enough to remember sprinting between telegraph poles, at the moment that work is being done. And Sanchez are really trying to close the gap a little bit further back. Fiona Schroeder, remember Fiona had a bad start. She's coming up to 26. Good to see that move being done. But look at this by Sanchez. What a recovery again. And Sanchez is going to come storming through this segment. And she comes in and through. She's just about made contact. She needs to do what we saw her teammate do, though. Dallimore came in through and went straight to the front. Sanchez needs to do the same. She won't, because every time she gets distance like this, she's not in the draft. You can see the numbers of black, top left-hand side of your screen. Now the green. That's when she's getting assistance. That's when she's getting some draft. She's getting the help of that bunch. You've got to get this fine-tuning just right. But timing is not great, because in front, the big grass bank you see in front, guess what? We're going up it, and that is going to make things tough for these riders, because as we start to kick in, here comes the road. It starts to lift, and this is where we've seen Dallimore and Sanchez fight the way into the group. It's also a chance For the riders who are not looking forward to the long drag but want something steeper and sharper to put an attack in, maybe hurt some legs a bit more. Here we go, just starting to see the numbers rocket upwards up at the front of this back. So you can just see yet again, Faber goes. Lisa Brummel closes her down at 6.3 watts per kilo. Faber kicks again. Brummel is right on her heels. Van Heuling knows that she can't afford to let any gaps open up. Nobody wants to miss the move here. Jojo Bauer, strong kick back by Bauer there, moving away up and through. And it looks like Brogan could be in trouble. She's a couple of seconds behind Bauer. Bauer has to keep pushing now. This is where the gaps are opening. You can just see Brogan, a rider who was in that sprint that finished last time. The gap has opened now. Bauer's made it, but Brogan hasn't. Brogan has got to kick here. Carry the pace on the downhill. She won't get as much of a rest as the rest of the riders, but then carry that pace onto the next climb. You can see it's coming. It's all about being able to kick in. The front group will slow. This means she can make contact. Now, can she use this to her advantage? Go flying straight up and through. There's no aerodynamic advantage once you get below about 20 kph. Not enough to make a difference. Here we go. Brogan has got back in the bush. Great recovery there as they make the way up on the elevated roadway section. Sanchez and Dallimore again losing ground. Brogan has been having a yo-yo time at the back, but look, the very front is so strong. You can just see Catherine Fura along with Brummel, Faber, Bauer really ripping this apart on the front. So Faber goes on the front. Interesting to see the riders here. Everybody looks to be taking the turn. We don't seem to be carrying any passengers in this group. That's a great way to slow the group down. If somebody's on there not working, at the moment, it looks to me like everybody working well. Nobody is taking it too easy. Everyone taking the turn, but equally, when somebody puts the pressure on, there's always somebody to respond and to come back and to take the group back up together. So riding with Catherine Nafua, who makes her way up the climb here, currently sitting at 4.1 watts per kilo. Look at the heart rate, 180 beats per minute. Now, I don't care if your heart rate can go to 200. That's still working strong. That is really kicking down hard. Looking at Brogan here, currently at 152. She needs to keep kicking big revs, so 99 cadence, just squeezing into the back of the group, not wanting to lose the draft as we start to roll back off the edge of the bridge here. It's now at minus 1.4, minus 1.6, 1.7. It's growing. The slope becomes steeper, the speed picks up, and this is where the draft is all important. The further you go, and more power you got to put in if you want to close the gap down if you do get spat out of the back of the group. Now, Dallimore currently has a teammate, Sanchez, not that far behind. They've got nearly 2 minutes on that golden light. They've got best part of 4.5 minutes on the group behind. That's big numbers. It means she should be relatively secure in that position at the moment, but we still have that massive climb to come. Meanwhile, the leaders right-hand side of your screen, Dallimore and Sanchez, the chasers left-hand side of your screen. So the leaders on the right, the chasers on the left, are trying to close the gap down. The chasers are working hard. We've seen them do it time and time again, but there's only surely so many times that Dallimore and Sanchez can put in performances like this, trying to close the gap. Meanwhile, the leaders, well, they're all putting in big shifts on the front of the group, and they're dropping down now. This is going to be our checkpoint, and this is where we're going to see just how quick they are moving. Segment number 6, a quick reminder, 3.5 kilometers long, the penultimate segment. So for the 3.5K, Van Heuling, Brogan, and Gonzalez, for Brummel, Bauer, Faber, and Cavado, they are the leading 8 once again. They came through there with next to nothing to separate them between the riders. Now here comes Dallimore chasing with Sanchez. Their time comes up on our screen, and Sanchez and Dallimore come through in the order. Sanchez chased onto the wheel of Dallimore, means she goes through the fastest time. But you can see those gaps really have opened up between our leaders. Interesting that Brogan at the moment still that heart rate well down 145. Meanwhile, the average heart rate for Van Heuling through there 162, 166 for Catherine Fua. We saw her up at the 180 mark at one point. All these numbers, of course, I'll be honest, when it comes to that final climb, because that is a matter of grit and determination. It's going to be in your head as much as it is in your legs and lungs. You can always do something a little bit more than your body is telling you. You can always push it that bit further. And that's why riding on MyWhoosh is so much fun, because it will encourage you just to push that a little bit more. Got to do it smart though. So make sure if you are jumping on, you get hold of one of the coach programs. Make sure you get checked out. Make sure that you can always jump on and push yourself too hard, too fast. We don't want anybody going over their personal limits. These guys' limits, well, they are the best out there. The final of the Sunday Race Club. This is the prize money final, and there's big money at stake for these riders, both individually and as teams. Our chaser, Dallymore, on the left of your screen, our leading group on the right of your screen, with strength in depth, big numbers. 8 riders leading the gap back to Dallymore in 9th place. Sanchez in 10th place, right on her heels, behind Golden Light chasing, as well as our riders Conan, and it's going to also be Elodie Reynard. They're the leading Category 2 riders who are chasing, but they've got some distance to go, and you can see the gap. So at the moment, it is Dallymore and Sanchez leading in that Category 2 fight, with Reynard in what is 3rd place, Conan in 4th place, and I think Conan and Adeline are just together, and that is going to help Conan try and close down on the riders in front. Meanwhile, our leaders are now down on the shoreline, 24.5 kilometers covered. They'll hit our next segment at 28.8k, but Conan is confirmed has assistance here. Now, Lydia Adlin is a top-class Cat 1 rider. We know she can figure on this course, as she was in 2nd place for a long time. She's a rider who's got some big power, some big numbers, and only just lost out on a 2nd place when we were here last time round. This is to the advantage of Kekkonen, who also had a storming ride in qualifying number 1 on this very same course. These 2 riders can climb. They can climb really well. Can they close down the rider in front? If they can, it means Kekkonen will be in the fight for a top 3 place in Category 2. And Elodie Reynard is going to be very careful to not get closed down by the chasers behind. The leaders, though, well, you can just see hitting that 25-kilometer marker, and now to 25.1k. The chasers behind, we've got Sanchez and Dallymore together, Golden Light on her own. Got Elodie Reynard on her own, and then it's going to be Kekkonen and Lydia Adeline, who are chasing behind them. Lutz Kimona just a little bit further back in the race. So our lead riders about to come out from the tunnels here at 25.5k. To get to the other side, they will know they're still in what is a relatively flat ground before they come in to that big climb. The last sector, the Sector 7 starting once we go into the mountains, and the mountains realistically started about 27.9k. You can see the difference between the blue and the orange sections of road there just before segment 7. And segment 7, the longest of our sectors, is the sector that takes our riders up from 28.8k to 32.8, 4 kilometers. It brings them very close to the finish. In fact, it brings them to within 2.2k of the finish, and that is going to give us a good indicator of who's climbing well as we move into that final part of the climb, that run into the finish. So here on the final of the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club for April, we have our riders out on course. A leading group of 8 riders clear all Category 1 riders, the leading Category 2 riders behind. We have riders chasing behind, including Fiona Schroeder. Schroeder, one of the riders who didn't get the start she would have wanted, and not right up in that fight for the top spot. However, already having moved away past a number of her riders currently sitting in 25th place. She's got company, though, and it looks like it's another of our Category 1 riders, Mandana Deng and Mashadi, making her way onto the wheel of Schroeder to come up on to this section of the climb. They're currently in the grass area with the roller coaster sections leading them into that elevated roadway before dropping the way back down and through Schroeder at the moment. 146 beats per minute, 83 revs, a nice smooth pedal cadence, keeping it above 80, really critical because it means that you're using generally the most optimum legs and lungs combination. It does vary rider to rider. Some riders can get out of the saddle and stamp a massive gear, 63 revs per minute. So that's basically 1 rev a second. That's real low, but you've got to be able to push massive power around. It's all right if you're really strong, but it really does take its toll. And there's only a certain length of time you can do that. You're certainly not going to be doing that all the way up the Jebel feet. Some riders so excel at those lower revs. Other riders, well, they can spin up like a hamster on a wheel and really get the pace high by spinning up very fast indeed, with rev numbers up in 140, 150, 160. By no means impossible for quite a number of riders. Even I can hit 140 revs per minute still, and I'm old. Now, riders on the way through. The chasers still chasing our leaders. Leaders on the left-hand side of your screen. Corvedo in there. And you're going to have to start thinking about who can climb well. Well, we know Elizabeth Van Heuling. She's taken 2 mountaintop finishes. She's got to be hot favourite out of this group. But with her, Dorothy Gonzalez-Rey, a rider who took 2nd place on this climb last time. We've got Corvedo in here, teammate of Van Heuling, took 3rd on this climb last time. We've got Stefania Sanchez trying to be in the mix, but missing out, and she is the rider who is nearest to them in the 4th position. She's not going to be in the fight. Neither is Adeline, who's 5th place, but we have got Catherine Fua, who is in 6th place last time on this climb in qualification 1 and importantly, won the qualification last time out, and that is a surefire indicator that she's coming into some really good form. So our leaders going through. The chasers looks to me like Dallimore and Sanchez. They've done it again. They've caught back on again. This leading group are not pressing home the advantage. They may feel that Sanchez and Dallimore are not going to be in the fight when it comes to the finish. Dangerous, because we're going to change the terrain. We don't have steep kicks. We don't have the flat sections that we're seeing here. We don't have those roller coasters. This is a long climb. It's a big climb and it is tough. It's not called the empty mountain for nothing, because you're going to have to empty the tank and you're going to have to burn all of the fuel you've got on board. There's no point saving anything for beyond the line, because this is the final. It's our prize money final here. And remember, this the last race of the April block. We move on to our first qualifier next week, and going to be heading out onto Amoros and start the cycle once again, if you pardon the pun. I'll lead us now on to the bridge. So taking the sharp left turn, and this elevated roadway leads in to the Jebel Hafit, the empty mountain up through from the UNESCO World Heritage Site in the United Arab Emirates of Al Ain, up past the tombs, the 5,000-year-old tombs, moving up into the climb. The leaders now about to hit this faithful reproduction inspired by Jebel Hafit, a big long climb. Now, who is going to go early? Is anybody going to be brave enough to go from the start? Faye Faber, we know, can sit at a really consistently tough pace, and it looks to me at 5.5 watts per kilo like she set out a stall early. Has she caught Van Heuling out here? Van Heuling is at 2 seconds behind. This has opened a little bit of a gap, and the rest are having to respond to this attack here by Faber. Faber wound it up. It wasn't so much a burst from the back. She just said, well, you think you're strong, you come and ride with me if you think you can do it. She put the pressure on, and it looks like everybody has had to dig deep to stay with them. It is shedding riders. I think we may well have lost Brogan. Brogan just about getting back in touch. She does. So Brogan is just about in touch. Van Heuling, Dorothy Gonzalez are in there as well. We're into the start of this segment. Remember, this segment is a segment that is 4K long. It will take us to within 2.2K of the finish. So our riders just coming past the lane, just going past those tombs, the beehive tombs at the side of the road. We're into segment number 7. 28.8k, right the way to 32.8 kilometers. And these are beehive tubes. You can go visit these in real life. It's not something invented by MyWhoosh, believe me. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's one of a multitude of sites all around the LA area. A site rich with history, rich with culture, dating back to the dawn of humanity. And really amazing to see such well-preserved features replicated here on MyWhoosh. Riders now on to the mountain. It's a indicator that they're going to hit the steep sections fairly shortly. There's a couple of ramps in here which do step up. They're not brutal, they're not into double figures, but they're enough if you are struggling, and that group are working hard. The leaders on the climb, Conan, is currently with, I think it's going to be Elodie Reynard. She has, so right hand side of your screen for a moment is Conan is in here. Oh, look at that. If only I could do that with lottery numbers. So Conan is in the mix with Elodie Reynard right on each other's wheels here. This is for third place, our two third category riders. We're riding with Conan at the moment in the all green category outfit on the right hand side. And you've got Conan, you've got Elodie Reynard in here. The two riders are fighting for third place, a podium spot. Always critical. They've got Adeline category 1 rider for company. This is for money. There's serious prizes at stake here. They have to make this count on the climb. Elodie Reynard, a rider who was 6th on this climb in category 2. You've got Conan, who was 2nd on this climb, putting a storming climb on here. Reynard has to watch out. She's got to stay with her. Conan has closed down on her heels. She's got to keep something in reserve. Golden Light, just a little bit on her own at the moment, sandwiched between our chasers that you can see on the right of the screen. Golden Light now onto that climb, onto the start of the elevated roadway that takes you in to the front and the center of a stage, which is the big climb of Jebel Hafid. Now 30k completed out of 35. Jojo Bauer in this leading group of riders. They've been rejoined by Brogan, so you got Brogan, Gonzalez, a rear in here, Van Heuling in here, Cafedo, Fua, along with Faber, Brommel and Co. It really is a who's who of MyWhoosh top class athletes. These riders have entertained us over the past 3 weeks in our qualification races. Now they have to make it count. The rehearsals are over, and this is about who has it in the tank, who wants to take away the big money top prize, and of course the bragging rights of taking the win. Just as importantly, who has got the power? Remember, we have seen Van Heuling take the win twice on mountain top finishes in the last month. Can she do it again? Meanwhile, Conan now starting to put the pressure on Reynard behind. Is she opening up a gap behind Conan? This is really interesting to see here. Now look at this. Reynard goes back onto her heels. This battle for the second category is going to be absorbing. They're fighting for third and fourth place, because remember, up the road from them, we've got two riders in the shape of Sanchez and, of course, Dallimore, who are also fighting against each other despite being teammates for first and second place in category 2. Meanwhile, in the battle at the front of the race, coming up to 31k, time running out now for riders to put in a long-range attack. It's going to have to be a decent power burst now to get clear. Jojo Bauer at the moment leading them in at 4.5 watts per kilo. You can see the next steep section about to kick. We come in and we do this right-hand turn. It's only about 1.5, 1.7 at the moment, but this left-hand turn, it really does start to kick in. And again, it's another chance for the lighter riders or those with some serious firepower to start to break the riders behind. You've got to put the kick in somewhere. Nobody will want to leave this to a sprint finish at the end. They're towing in here. The rider, Catherine Fua, who's in the mix. She took that phenomenal sprint finish with Brogan last time. Brogan is also in the fight here. Now a little bit further back, and I think the climbers know that they can't afford to tow these two sprinters in. It's going to be really difficult to take the win if you take Brogan or Fua to the line. It's looking very close at the moment. I'm not sure how I'd want to bring. I'd be looking to put a big attack on a steep bit. Well, I would do if I wasn't any good at sprinting and rubbish at going uphill. Here we go, time for another kick. You can just see the pressure is back on again. The watts start going up. It's Faye Faber on the front. By the look of it, just trying to close the gap to the leaders. And Faber in here. Look at this. She's riding strong again. Can she close down Bauer? Bauer's in that blue cap. Faber in the with the white hair on the left-hand side. Both riders now continue to push. Corvado dropping back. Brummel dropping back. They have to sit in that slipstream. We're doing 29 kph, so we're still doing the 20 miles an hour up this slope. They are absolutely nailing this behind them. Dallimore and Sanchez are working hard, but look at Corvado. Corvado, we know, can be in the mix. This is going to be very, very tough for them to take this out. We'll see who is going to take the victories that come in and through the line very shortly. We're coming up to 32k of 35k covered, and our leaders know that this slight easing here is going to kick again. We're going to take this left-hand sweeping turn. It straightens out for a little bit before we dive right and back in through the rocky outcrops up here. Bauer, Fuhr, Fado, Faber, Gonzalez-Ruiz, Van Heuling, Brummel, all in the fight. Brogan has got herself into the mix and stayed in there. She has distanced a couple of times. She knows that she could be in the fight. They're also, of course, fighting for those prizes, a team prize. And at the moment, you can just see a little bit of a gap opening up here. Our leading two riders just stretching it out. And are we seeing a little bit of a break? No, the quick response comes again. So Dallimore now just starts to stretch away from Sanchez as we see Brummel trying to stay with them. Come on, Lisa, time to dig deep here. It's a couple of seconds up the road. Meanwhile, on the front, Jojo Bauer puts the attack in. He's gone up to 5.5, 5.6 watts per kilo. The riders behind her at 4.2. Van Heuling is trying to answer this now. Van Heuling knows that Bauer has gone hard here. Van Heuling is trying to come across the gap. She's coming. It's a 32.5k underneath the wheels. They're going to 35. Who can they break? Who can they snap? Who can they force out the back of the group? Faber is in trouble. Faye needs to push. Come on, Dorothy. Come on, Lisa. This now is the time to kick. The gaps are opening. They've got to get across. It looks to me like Catherine Fuhr trying to get across. Come on, Catherine. This is the time. You've got to close down. Bauer's going. What a move by Bauer here. She took the initiative. She kicked down hard. She'll get the fastest time through this segment, and she can stay ahead of Brogan, but Brogan's coming quick. Oh, it's so tight as they go through that segment. Now, are they going to continue to push this home? Let's see what those times are. 5 riders left in the fight, with Dorothy Gonzalez-Ruiz losing 6 seconds, as well as Faye Faber also losing nearly 7 seconds to our 5 leaders as they go up that climb. Brogan, Bauer, Van Heuling, Fuhr, and Karup. So Corvado going to be the only riders in with a chance of the fight at the finish, unless somebody's legs blow up big style here. Now, let's see who's leading. We got Brogan and Bauer again on the attack. The gap is there, though. It's minimal. And once again, Jojo Bauer. She's absolutely flying. I think she's got helium in those tires at the moment to get up that climb so quick. She is taking it to them. Is this going to be Jojo Bauer's day? She's been flying. She's been top 10 on her 2 qualifying races. Today she could be scoring big. The time is ticking along. We're nearly an hour's racing. We're 56 minutes of racing. We've covered the ground very quick here today, because we're at 33.3k, and Elizabeth Van Heuling is being left to answer this again. Van Heuling, who took 2 wins in her 2 qualifying races, 1 and 2. 2 mountaintop finishes, with qualifying race number 1 finishing at the top of this same climb at the same finish line. Van Heuling closing down the gap on Jojo Bauer. Can the rest respond? Can Corvado come back? She is. Look at this. She's out of the saddle trying to close the gap. Brogan is trying to close it. I think Catherine Fuhr is going to be pushed down into what is potentially 5th place, with Gonzalez-Ruiz in 6th, a lot further back. But Bauer is on a storming ride here. She continues to open the gap. Look at the difference in the watts per kilo. The 3 behind are looking at each other here. This is dangerous to do. They are going to be about to hit the 34-kilometer mark as they take the right-hand turn. Now, this is about timing. This is about making sure that you get your timing right. Jojo Bauer has only one option now: to go and keep on going. She's got to be able to ride for 1,200 meters and keep them off her heels. It's going to be so hard to go again but she continues to try to break them. They've looked at each other. Van Heuveling's being left to do the work here again. I think she's the only one with anything left in the tank. Has she got anything to answer Jojo Bauer? Bauer has gone up the road for the Las Colombianas squad. On her heels is Elizabeth Van Heuveling from Spartan Obstacles. Then it's Cavado. Cavado riding for Spartan Obstacles as well. So the team are going to score big here. Brogan is in the mix as well. Brogan riding for the Spartan Obstacles. They have surely got the team prize. However, individual victory is going to elude them if Jojo Bauer continues onwards. And Las Colombianas are going to be right up in that team challengers or well, because Dorothy Gonzalez-Ruiz is behind. But Jojo Bauer is showing these riders how to climb this mountain. The gap now is out at 16 seconds behind. Van Heuveling is kicking again. She's not going to close this down. Surely, is she able to do this? Well, if anybody could do this, it could be Van Heuveling. She's shown just how strong she is on the climb. And look at Brogan. She's resurgent on the way behind Bauer. But they've got a massive ask. You can see the cabins at the side. There's a big gap between these riders on the road. It's separated by over 100 meters. And at the moment, Jojo Bauer's just got to bury herself. Come on, Jojo. Keep that dig going. You've not got five. It's less than 500 meters for Jojo Bauer to take the victory from Van Heuveling. She'll have scalped the winner on this climb previously in the qualification. It'll be a best result in these block of races. She'll have obliterated those 7th places in qualifying. If you're going to pull it out big, you want to do it on the final, and she's doing it, but the chase is by no means over. Cavado now taking up the chase. Van Heuveling, I think, paying the price for having to close down so many times. She's in amongst teammates with Cavado along with Brogan. But they, at the moment, have no answer to Jojo Bauer, who is continuing to push. The riders behind, they're yo-yoing, they're taking their turns to have a go, but they're not closing the gap down. Jojo Bauer with 200 meters to go. It's going to be close. There's about 100 meters between these riders. It's nothing. It's about 50 bike lengths at the most, but Bauer could be riding it here to a top flight victory. She can see the finish line. Your race winner in the prize money final of the Sunday Race Loop here on MyWhoosh. Jojo Bauer takes victory for the Las Colombianas squad. Behind it's going to be Karut Cavado, who's going to lead her team in and home. They're going to take it. Oh, it's so tight on the line. That's going to go back to the photo finish. Brogan, Van Heuveling, Cavado all coming through within fractions of a second. Here come the results. Who got it? Brogan took it on the line. Look at the difference between them. There was nothing to choose between Gemma Brogan, Karut Cavado, with Elizabeth Van Heuveling coming through. Spartan Obstacles in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place. But Las Colombianas, Jojo Bauer on fire tonight. Behind 5th place is going to be Catherine Fua, who took victory in race number 3, our qualifier. Then Faye Faber for the Strong Girls team. And the Spartan Obstacles placing 4 riders in the top 5. What a performance by them. Then Faye Faber in 6th place. Dorothy Gonzalez-Ruiz for Las Colombianas takes 7th position as they come up this climb. And that was a performance and some. I mean, what a ride to go up there so quick. And Jojo Bauer's attacking took a clear. The Spartan Obstacles knew that team price was overstated. They're going to get a great finish. As behind we see Lisa Brummel now coming in to that finishing line. Great riding by all of our riders. Just to finish one of our Sunday Club races is going to be a real race performance. So Brummel coming through in 8th position. 1 minute and 17 down on our race leaders. A good ride by her. And again, Strong Girls with 2 riders in. Las Colombianas with 2, Strong Girls with 2. Next up the climb, I think, is going to be Dallimore. And we are going to, I think, see our 2nd category leader come into the finish with a top 10 finish here. Behind her, it was a teammate Sanchez, and then there was a monster of a fight between Kekkonen along with Reynard. So that's going to be a real fight between them. Rebecca Dallimore into her last 200 meters at the moment. Last 300 meters at the moment. Counting always a good thing to have when you're looking at numbers on the screen. Here we go, 200 meters for Dallimore. Into this right-hand turn. She's going to take victory in the 2nd category rider competition, and Dallimore is going to lead her teammate in the Strong Women's team in. They have had a good ride, but the team at the moment who really have taken pretty much everything apart from the individual victory spot and obstacles. What a performance by them. Second, third, fourth, and fifth places. Now, our next rider in its ninth place overall, but more importantly, it's first place in category 2 for Rebecca Dallymore, who comes in over the line for the strong women's race team. Bigger wasp per kilo coming out from Rebecca Dallymore, doing a great job up that climb to take ninth position and top spot in our second category competition. Behind it should be a teammate. Julie Sanchez was not all that far behind last we saw. Here she comes. So Sanchez losing a little bit of time. Meanwhile, a bit further down the course, I think Golden Light has got Elodie Reynolds and Novellin Kekkonen coming up behind her. So it's going to be really close. The racing for third place in that category 2 race. So Golden Light pushes on the climb here. She's been really had to do this all herself. She's had not one teammate, not one bit of help on here. She got distance from that leading group, has kept the watts per kilo high, and must be room what could have been here. But don't forget, lots more chances to race because we, of course, have our next block of races starting. Yep. Next Sunday Race Club comes back with qualification race number 1. So we have Julie Sanchez coming in to her last 400 meters or so. Golden Light into her last 900 meters. Behind these two riders, Reynard and Kekkonen fighting for the third place, last podium spot in category 2. But Golden Light is continuing to push hard here. So 800 meters for Golden Light. Sanchez at 300 meters to go. So you can just see Julie Sanchez is going to come in next, followed by Golden Light. They will be 9th and 10th places. But behind them, Kekkonen and Reynard, I think they're separated by as little as a second on the screen. We just go, oh, it's not even a second. Oh, camera's dropped back. They're not that far behind Golden Light here either. This is going to be really interesting. Can they close down on Golden Light? I know Sanchez is heading in towards line, currently a couple of 100 meters from the line. Well, hopefully we're going to get to see the battle for that third place conclude as they come into the finish. Julie Sanchez, who's just up heading in to the finish, is going to take a second place. I think Golden Light is currently sandwiched in between in the first category rider. Julie Sanchez comes through. I think she's going to take our second place in the... Here she goes through the line. It is indeed second place for Julie Sanchez in the women's second category competition as she goes through. So the strong women with Dallymore and Sanchez in 1 and 2, 9th and 10th places overall. Next up should be Golden Light. She's in 11th position last we saw, but behind her, Kekkonen at the moment is leading Reynard, but there's nothing to choose between them. They're into the last few hundred meters. They will want to take that third place spot. Kekkonen and Reynard fighting it out. Remember, Reynard riding for the Team Fitness 10. Her team is going to be cheering her on if they're watching live at the moment. Behind, you can just see Reynard out of the saddle here. Is this going to come down to a sprint as they come in? Less than 200 meters to go here. Kekkonen and Reynard are fighting out for third place in the second category. Golden Light is going to come through. She's going to take, I think it is going to be 9th place in the category 1 competition. This is the sprint finish, though. This is for third place. Who's going to get it? It's going to be Reynard who's taking it. I think Reynard has got that. We're going to get confirmation. She has. So the top of 4 riders in our second category competition. Dallymore taking a 9th place overall, but leading home the second category riders for the strong women's team. Julie Sanchez takes second place in that category 2 competition, with Elodie Reynard taking third place, and Novellin Kekkonen taking 4th spot in that finish that was separated on the line by what is less than 0.2 of a second. What a finish between them. So a great race finish between our riders coming in and through. So thank you very much for watching our Sunday Race Club Women's Final here on the MyWhoosh YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you're notified when we go live, which will be again next Sunday. Don't forget, of course, you can follow me. That's Matt Fixpain on Facebook as well as on MyWhoosh, and of course on Strava. We're back on the 24th. That's next Sunday next Sunday is the first race in May. So from everybody here at MyWhoosh, thank you for watching. Make sure you're ready for our next race. Ashuvkum, Alakare.